The woman only saw a switch on her husband's portrait, but unexpectedly discovered her husband's hidden secret when she curiously pressed the switch button. The door of a cold storage room opened instantly. What Annie never expected was that inside were the bodies of her husband's 6 former wives. This moment made Annie's hair stand on end, realizing that her husband was a murderous maniac. Annie screamed in fear and ran away. She opened the door and bumped into her husband, in order to prevent her husband from finding out. She pretended that she knew nothing. She thought her husband wouldn't notice. But after all, this guy had had 6 wives. He immediately saw that something was wrong with Annie. He then took Annie to a small room. In fact, the rich man had long since installed a camera. Annie had already been caught on camera, since Annie knew her husband's secret. Her husband no longer chose to keep her. Without saying a word, he grabbed her by the neck. At this point, Annie said that he could kill her. But at least she wanted to know why. She didn't understand why her husband, who was a millionaire, had killed his 6 previous wives, since his previous wives had never asked him this question. The millionaire finally revealed his tragic marriage. The millionaire's first wife was a singer. They met at a horse race. The two were deeply attracted to each other, and soon became a couple. Before long, they held a grand wedding. However, as time went by, he discovered that his wife seemed to have a problem. She was always singing. She sang while dancing. She sang while on dates. She even sang while eating. But the wealthy man could accept all of this. However, as time went by, he discovered that his wife was always threatening him. If this continued, he would eventually be scared to death. To prevent him from developing heart disease in the future, while his wife wasn't paying attention, he carried her directly to the guillotine. Now the house was finally quiet, but the wealthy man soon couldn't stand the loneliness. Once, when the wealthy man was out, he accidentally met a nun. He thought that nuns didn't care about money, and wouldn't pose a threat to him. So he actively pursued her. After a few days, he married the nun. He thought she would be a good fit for him. But after marriage, the wealthy man realized this woman has had many boyfriends. She had boyfriends all over the country, but the wealthy man didn't care when he found out. After all, who doesn't have a past they'd rather forget? However, as time went on, his wife often mentioned her ex-boyfriends, and compared them to the wealthy man. Since he was a man who valued his reputation, he couldn't stand such a woman. So one night, he suffocated his wife to death in a coffin. After 2 failed marriages, had originally planned to grow old alone. However, at an art exhibition, he met a cold and aloof young girl. The girl's demeanor deeply attracted the wealthy man, so he pulled out all the stops to marry this young girl. However, to his surprise, this third wife, though beautiful, didn't like to spend time with him at all. Even if she went outside to play with the dogs, she wouldn't say a single word to the wealthy man. It was clear that the little girl didn't care about him, but the wealthy man could accept that. After all, there was a significant age gap between them. However, as time went on, whenever the wife got angry, she would argue with him, and then they wouldn't speak to each other for a week. This made the wealthy man feel utterly helpless, so he released the eagle, which pecked her to death.